Hi there, Jasjeet. Nice to see that you have written your first set of essays. Well done. Let's take a look and see what you said here, okay? The first essay is schools and whether they should be more entertaining or if they should only educate. Let's see what you said. In recent years, there has been an ongoing debate about whether schools should adopt a more entertaining approach or stick with conventional education practices. I strongly agree with the argument that there is room, not a room, but there is room for reform to the current system. All right, nice. Firstly, the education system has not evolved greatly since its establishment in you could either say historic Greece, or you could say ancient Greek era. That would have made more sense, actually. So since its establishment in the ancient Greek era, the core of this outdated methodology is circles around the idea of reading, reciting, and retaining knowledge, which leaves many of the students discouraged and bored. A recent report from National Public School Board. Okay, I don't know why you capitalized national. I'm wondering, maybe you probably should have capitalized all the words or none. So a recent report from the National Public School Board depicts an exponential growth in the number of dropouts, while the national average score for yearly assessment tests is plunging downwards. An experimental school started by famous billionaire and philanthropist Elon Musk shows that a hands-on, no N here, approach that includes higher practical to theoretical ratio is not only more engaging but also fosters creativity among students. Okay. Moreover, an academic-only approach fails to provide a wholesome environment for children's psychological and physiological growth. Introduction to musical instruments and puzzle games in parallel to school have shown great increase in a child's cognitive abilities, enhancing the learning experience far better than just reading and writing. A study conducted by Life Sciences further proves the need for stimulation of all regions of the brain to maximize the learning process. In conclusion, the traditional schooling system has left many children, we don't use kids in IELTS, it's too informal, has left many children in the dark by failing to provide the very thing that led to their creation. Its creation. Okay, schooling system. One, its creation. As stated by many, schools have educated the students, schools have educated the students, but have not turned them into thinkers. Hence, I believe, no comma, that major reforms are needed and on their way. I don't understand that. Are needed and are on their way for the outdated schooling system. Okay, so this was really nicely written. I did like it. There were some grammatical mistakes. There were these little things like articles and missing S's and things like that. I thought, apart from those mistakes, I thought it was well written. But there's one thing that concerns me. Remember what the debate is here. It's about solely educational or more entertaining. And I want to let's think about this aloud together if we can. I didn't feel like you really talked about entertainment. You talked about new methodologies. You talked about more practical teaching methods and things like that. But I felt like there was really little in terms of this idea of entertainment, of fun, of amusement, of enjoyment. Okay? So here, basically, you were telling me what's wrong with the current system, and that was okay. I don't mind that. And then here, you talked about practical. It's more engaging, and it fosters creativity. Okay, but what about this idea of entertainment, of amusing, of enjoyment? Okay? Then, you said again what's wrong with this academic-only approach. And then you showed cognitive abilities, enhancing the learning experience, but there was nothing about entertainment. So sure, the benefits of these varied lessons and other things that are not purely academic, but there was nothing that gave me kind of a rephrasing of this idea of entertainment. I hope that makes sense. I felt like you were really just talking about other methodologies and including a more holistic education rather than academic. But holistic doesn't necessarily mean entertaining. And so that's what concerns me. I hope that makes sense. And again, here you were talking about turning them into thinkers. This again, I mean, if you can link it to entertainment, then great, but you didn't. And so I felt like that element of the essay was missing. Even though, other than that, it was well written, and I enjoyed it. Okay, so think about that a little bit. How could you have incorporated this idea of more entertaining schools, more entertaining, okay, not so much focusing on the cognitive abilities or the physiological growth. If you can link that to entertainment, then great. But that's the aspect that they want you to focus on, okay? Let's take a look at your second essay here. This is the one about doing an enjoyable activity with a child. Here's what you said. While reading has proven itself to be a major factor in skill development for many children in the past, the idea of learning via enjoyable and engaging activities has also gained popularity. In the following essays, I will discuss why this is a positive direction to explore by presenting some appealing examples. Okay, fine. To start off, not all children are alike and keen about digging their heads into written text. Childhood is a time for children to be curious and explore their surroundings while acquiring skills far more crucial than knowledge. Sports at an early age can accelerate the development of motor skills and reflexes, at the same time teaching them the importance of team play. A recent study conducted by Health Canada depicts an astonishing growth in dexterity among children who were introduced to athletics, directing their excess energy positively. Secondly, introduction to creative outlets such as musical instruments and drawings that involves creating something from scratch allows a child's imagination to run wild at their own pace. In parallel, greatly enhancing creativity and boosting confidence, often overlooked and flagged as, here you need an waste of one's time, puzzles, board, and video games can help improve a child's instincts, problem solving, and spatial abilities. You're missing an A here. A paper published by Harvard University, capital U, points out the short-term memory benefits of playing video games for children and seniors alike. With the advent of technology, more of these are available free of cost, without the for, and of varying difficulty. In summary, there are infinite number of options available that are here far more engaging and effective than reading for children. In the near future, I see a cultural shift towards use of entertaining and recreational activities for early childhood development. Great. I really like this. I have no complaints here about your task achievement, about the way you developed it. I thought you did a great job. You told me what's wrong with reading here. Okay? You told me that in contrast you thought that children should do these other things. You gave me a variety of reasons why. It was well developed. Okay? Here again, you talked about them being able to do something at their own pace, boost confidence. You then talked about these puzzles and everything. So you gave me a wide variety of things that better explore these other skills of children besides just reading. So I really enjoyed this. Now, well written, little grammar things again, but nothing too serious. So here's where I want to present to you another aspect that we should consider here. Look at the task again. It's asking you to compare an enjoyable activity with reading. Now, what you did was really lovely, and I enjoyed it, and I think you extended really well. But you didn't really talk much about reading, did you? I would like to see, and of course we're talking in order to get one of those really high band scores, I would like you to potentially address how reading can develop skills and creativity. Okay, because for them to make this comparison here that this is better than this, clearly this has some benefits as well. Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there. Perhaps you should also address what those benefits are, how reading develops skills and how reading develops creativities. And then in your next body paragraph, you can then say, despite the gains that can be acquired with reading, other activities develop skills and creativity far more and far better. Okay, and then you can go into this analysis. So again, I'm bringing this up because they've already posed this kind of comparison, this this dilemma, so to speak, okay, that one is better than the other. So rather than just discounting reading altogether, perhaps it would be worthwhile to spend some time focusing on it. All right. Otherwise, they might not have written it like this. Does that make sense? They could have potentially written this prompt like this. It could have said, doing an enjoyable activity with a child develops excellent skills and creativity. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay? They could have written it like that. And then what you did here would have been appropriate. But since they did compare the gains made between the enjoyable activity and reading, perhaps it would have been worthwhile to address reading as well. Okay? This is something to think about as you move forward in the course. I think that based on your writing that you could try to write your essay in this kind of fashion. If you agree with this approach and think that you can do it maybe in a similarly worded essay, then certainly feel free to try it. All right. So it's just a thought for how you could develop your essays in a fuller kind of way. All right. Just moving on in the course, consider it. So well done here on the whole for your first set. Now what do you need to do? You need to correct these essays. Number 1. Number 2, you need to create an error correction list where you write down all the mistakes that were pointed out to you, and then next to each mistake, write down what the corrected version would be. After that, of course, you need to write a new set of essays, applying everything you've been learning in the course and through these video corrections. So go ahead, get those 3 things started. Try to do them within the next 24 hours or so you can apply everything you've been learning. And let's meet back here with your next set of essays, okay? Good luck to you.